Hi, my name is Raman Virapin. I'm a full-time medical doctor, and I've also been a home bartender for the past 5 years. During that time, I've learned how to make over 100 different cocktails, and I've thrown over 50 cocktail parties. And now I help other busy professionals master home bartending. And this is the only video you need to watch if you want to learn how to make a Long Island iced tea at home. And this cocktail actually takes me back all the way to my very first big cocktail party that I threw about 4.5 years ago. So this was still within the first 6 months of my home bartending journey. And there's a lot of great memories that come from this cocktail, which was the signature drink at that party. And this drink actually is somewhere between a modern classic and a classic, falling right in that in-between time frame. It was created in 1972, and the legend has it is that this bar or this nightclub in Long Island had a contest for people to make new drinks and recipes that contain triple sec, which is a type of orange liqueur like the Cointreau I have here. And this was one of the entrants into that contest. And in the past 50 plus years, this has become rather infamous, especially in the last couple decades, as a stereotypically strong drink. And the reason for that is because it contains 4 liquors and also a liqueur, which is also 40% ABV. And it really depends on how you actually make the cocktail, but the recipe I'm going to show you in this video, it calls for half an ounce each of these. So that's a total of 2.5 ounces of alcohol. And just for reference, the standard cocktail that I make on this channel and in person, the majority of those cocktails contains about 2 ounces of liquor. So this is a good amount stronger, 2.5 ounces versus 2 ounces. And it's also going to feel stronger because it's going to contain 5 different ingredients as opposed to most of my cocktails, which contain usually just 1, sometimes 2 liquors. So it is going to feel a good amount stronger as well. So just keep these things in mind when you're serving this drink to yourself or to your guests. It is going to be a bit stronger, so you just want to be aware of that. So let's get into the actual recipe. So this drink calls for 8 different ingredients, which I have laid out in front of me. It's going to call for the 5 clear liquors and liqueurs. So that's going to be vodka, gin, rum, tequila, orange liqueur. And then on the other side, I have the non-alcoholic ingredients, simple syrup, lemon juice, and cola. And for the exact bottles, you're going to want to make sure all of these 5 ingredients are clear. So vodka and gin are pretty much always clear, so no issues here. For the vodka, I'm using Tito's, which is my go-to for making cocktails. And then for the gin, I'm going to be using the Roku, which is another one of my go-tos. For the rum, I have the Havana Club here. A few other good options for white rum include Plantaray 3-Star and also Florida Caña. And then for the tequila, I have the Terramana. This is my go-to, but feel free to use whatever Blanco tequila you have available, as long as it's a 100% blue agave. So just for these 2 ingredients especially, make sure it's a white rum and make sure it's a Blanco tequila. And then finally for the orange liqueur, I'm going to be using Cointreau. Make sure it's a clear one. Cointreau is the one I always recommend to beginners. I think it's the most versatile of all the orange liqueurs. And then for the non-alcoholic ingredients, the lemon juice is the Santa Cruz organic lemon juice. This is my go-to for bottled lemon juice. Then this is my homemade simple syrup. For the first 2 years of my home bartending journey, I used store-bought, including when I made this drink for the very first time at my first big cocktail party. And then for the cola, the original recipe does call for just standard Coca-Cola, but you can always feel free to use a flavored cola, Diet Coke, you can use Pepsi, you can use RC. So feel free to use whatever cola, but the traditional recipe does call for Coca-Cola. So that's what I'm using here. So the actual recipe is going to be containing half an ounce each of these 5 ingredients, then 3/4 of an ounce each of these 2 ingredients, simple syrup and lemon juice, and then finally 2 ounces of cola. So let's go ahead and start making the drink. Because this does contain a carbonated ingredient, the cola, I'm going to be using the sandwich method. So I'm going to be first pouring half of the cola in here. I'll first start with the ice, actually. So this is, I'm going to be serving this in a highball glass. So I'm going to be putting in, just to start off, about 3 ice cubes. I may add a 4th one later, depending on how the cocktail is. And it contains 2 ounces of cola. So I'm going to be pouring the first ounce in there first to start it off. And then let's go ahead and make start with the other ingredients. So the lemon juice is going to be 3/4 of an ounce. Because this does contain lemon juice and simple syrup, I'm going to be shaking the other components. And then 3/4 of an ounce of the simple syrup. And now for the alcoholic ingredients, half an ounce of vodka, then we have half an ounce of gin, half an ounce of white rum, half an ounce of blanco tequila, half an ounce of the orange liqueur, which is a Cointreau that I have here, and now we have all of the non-carbonated ingredients in here. Let's go ahead and combine everything, give it a good seal. Make sure you hold this extra tight. You don't have ice in here to hold the seal in place, and give it a good shake for about 8 to 12 seconds. All right, I think everything is nice and combined. So we'll go ahead and pour everything over the first 1 ounce of cola. And then finally another ounce of cola to top it off. And the cola is what gives it that dark brown color, which is why it's called a Long Island iced tea. It doesn't actually contain any iced tea, as you can tell. So it mainly gets its name from the color. So there you have it, the Long Island iced tea. Cheers.